guys, I'm Pooja Thakkar. I'm the speech and language pathologist working with pediatric population for over 5 years now. I work at the Gateway School of Mumbai. I'm doing this video today so that we can discuss about a very important milestone that children need to achieve in order to be ready to learn, and that is sitting tolerance. We are going to discuss about the what, the why, and the how of sitting tolerance. So, what is sitting tolerance? Sitting tolerance is the ability of a child to sit in one place and purposefully attend to a task at hand or to an activity. That is sitting tolerance. Now, why is sitting tolerance important? Because sitting tolerance helps the child build attention, listen and process the incoming information, and as a result learn. Hence, before the child enters school, it is very important for the child to have a decent amount of sitting tolerance. The question now is, how do we build sitting tolerance? I generally begin with activities that a child enjoys. So say a 4-year-old child comes to me with poor sitting tolerance. If the child enjoys water play, I build all my activities centered around water play. So the child is first building sitting tolerance for activities of his or her interest. Right? So say we would paint with water, we would take a tub of water where the child is throwing in pebbles in water and design all activities that are around water because that is what the child enjoys. Once the child has built a decent amount of sitting tolerance for activities of his or her interest, we then move on to activities that would be of adult's choice. So say for week 1, the child could sit with doing water play for 2 minutes. Gradually by week 3, the child now sits for the same activity for 10 minutes because that is the activity of his interest. We then gradually fade out and we move on to activities that are not of the child's interest or less interesting or of the adult's choice. Right? Now, what is very important in building sitting tolerance are 2 key things. Number 1, we gradually increase the amount of time that the child is sitting and focusing and doing an activity. So initially for 2 minutes, then going on to like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, gradually 10 minutes, and we constantly reinforce the child. It is very important. And it is also very important to be specific in your reinforcement. So instead of telling your child, well done, you're doing so well, or you finished the activity, the reinforcement needs to be more specific. Like, I love how you sat for 2 whole minutes. It's great to see you sit and finish the activity. So the child knows exactly what he is being praised for. So reinforcement is the key here, and gradually increasing the time is also the key. For a lot of children who have poor sitting tolerance, say who are on the autism spectrum, or children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, visual cues become very important for these children. So when we are building sitting compliance for children who process information better with visual cues, it is very important to use these cues. So I generally have a stopwatch or a sand clock or a timer, and I pre-program the child and I tell the child that, you know what, when the big hand of the clock goes from 12 to 1, we have to sit for that much amount of time and we have to finish this puzzle, or we have to finish making so and so with Play-Doh, etc. Or the time for which the sand comes from the top of the clock to the bottom, we have to sit down and we have to finish so and so activity. So providing the child with a visual cue and pre-programming the child what he is expected to do and constantly reinforcing the child will gradually help the child build sitting tolerance for activities of his interest as well as for activities which are less interesting. Some of the activities that work really well for building sitting tolerance are using Lego blocks or building blocks, using Play-Doh to make different items, reading a picture book with the child, a short one initially, sorting objects or items using the shape sorter. Some children really enjoy puzzles, and these are some of the activities that really help in building sitting tolerance. There is one important idea that I would also like to discuss about sitting tolerance, and that is the age. It is very important to keep in mind the age at which we are trying to build sitting tolerance and how much. So I cannot expect a toddler who is 2 or 3 to sit for 25 minutes and do an activity. But if the same expectation of sitting for 20 or 25 minutes is from age to 10-year-old child, it's a fair expectation. So I have to keep in mind how long do I want the child to sit and focus on an activity, depending the age of the child and whether it's a fair expectation or not. Also, there are a lot of studies out there in literature which says that movement help children learn, process and grasp information better. So even while we are expecting children to sit in one place and focus on a task at hand and do an activity, we have to make sure that for long periods of time, say for school-going children, for children who are 6, who are 7, who are 8 and who are 10, and even older, for a half an hour class or for a 45-minute class while the child is doing homework, it is very important for us to give children movement breaks as well. So giving the child a break to say go and have some water, giving the child an eye break, giving the child some movement activity where he stands up and he's doing some jumping jacks, or any form of movement that you build in when the child has to sit in for long hours goes a long way in helping the child learn and process information. So that was all about sitting tolerance. I hope you have taken away some good tips from this video, and you all will be able to apply this while trying to build sitting compliance with your children, whether at home or in your therapy setting.